Because Marvin Harrison Sr., Hall of Fame receiver with the Indianapolis Colts, unloaded on ESPN.com yesterday, or via ESPN.com on the Indianapolis. Boy, let me just start over again. What the hell is wrong with me? Anyway, Hall of Fame receiver Marvin Harrison Sr. had things to say about the Arizona Cardinals offense to ESPN.com. And for a guy who hardly ever says anything, it was stunning. It's hard for me to watch the Cardinals offense. You can quote me on that. The style I'm accustomed to, that I'm used to watching as a professional eye, as a wide receiver, I just can't relate to what that current offense, that style of offense. He basically keeps his mouth shut because his son, Marvin Harrison Jr., is trying to find his way, carve his path, get his start in the NFL. But I said weeks ago that I can only imagine what Marvin Harrison Jr. is hearing from Marvin Harrison Sr. about the differences between Peyton Manning and Kyler Murray, or really Peyton Manning and most of today's quarterbacks, because Peyton Manning is the rarest of the rare. He's one of one. Well, you got Tom. You got a small group. You got a very small group of guys who were just obsessed and who were driven and who were dialed in, who were basically the coaches and the quarterback. And Manning is one of one in that regard, where he basically took the whole thing over. And this is how it's going to be. We're going to win football games. This is going to how we're do it. That was Marvin Harrison Sr.'s perspective. I don't think, there's more than a handful of guys that would even come close to that category now, and it's got to be glaring for a guy whose own experience, Devin, was being with Peyton Manning all those years.
Yeah, and I think not just the Cardinals, the offenses are so different compared to when Marvin Harrison Sr. was playing. Even when I first got in the NFL, the amount of preparation that would go into a game plan because of trying to outthink the quarterback you were playing, or knowing how much Peyton Manning knew your defense better than you knew it. The offense aren't built on that as much anymore. It's not just two receivers out there and backfield set. Like, it's just so much more that goes on from hey, we're going to motion this guy, we're going to move this, we're going to do that. It's not as much of stand still, let the quarterback read, and then decide who. Like, it's all these things that are part of the offensive play calls that have helped and moved. What people have always said, it feels like the NFL is a lot more similar offensively to college than it's ever been, because of the kind of learning curve that it took from playing quarterback in college and coming to the pros and all of that. So the Cardinals fall into that category. Just when it doesn't work, you got to change it. And kudos to the Cardinals for doing that. But, a lot of respect for Marvin Harrison Sr. saying, hey, I got to say something because my son is going through way too much for me not to say something and ultimately just be a dad.
That was no accident that landed at 6 in the morning on a day that the Cardinals were playing on Monday Night Football. That felt deliberate, and maybe they had to coax Marvin Harrison Sr. to say what he said, but that all felt like something that was weeks in the making, and he said what he said. Here's what Marvin Harrison Jr. said after the game about his father's comments to ESPN.com.
Everyone has their own opinions, and I think just the biggest thing is, anytime someone speaks on something, you just don't want it to be directly from the player. So it's just everyone has their own opinions, and I think in his article, he said, that's how he feels, not how I feel. So I think that's just good to mention because I trust in all the guys. I know everyone works really hard, throughout the week to be successful, not only for me individually but as a team. So I think I just try to do my part and be accountable on my end, do my best to help the team.
It really did put Marvin Jr. in a tough spot because it's not just random dad. It's guy who is in the Hall of Fame at the same position that Marvin Jr. is playing. And he handled it perfectly. He couldn't have said it any better.
Yep.
But you just have to wonder. You have to wonder what Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to want if things don't improve in Arizona, because there's other places where he can go and maybe find something closer to what Dad experienced. And if the goal is to get to Canton, and as Marvin Harrison Sr. said, they would repossess my jacket if I was playing in this offense, that's going to resonate with his son. How can it not resonate with his son? Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.